Well, Javier Farje is a Latin American analyst joining us now from London. Javier, good to see you. Can you just remind people of how Ecuador got to this position in the first place, given it was one of the safer countries in Latin America, and now it's kind of on a par with Colombia and Mexico?
Yes, the problem in Ecuador was, as you say rightly so, it was a very peaceful country. I've been in Ecuador many times before, and it was a very safe place to visit and to work. The problem was that Ecuador became a route for drug traffic towards the US and Europe because of the coastal city of Guayaquil that has links to the Pacific Ocean. So many of the Mexican drug cartels that operate in the region, have been operating in Central America, decided to use Ecuador as one of the routes. And therefore, they linked with local gangs in order to be able to do business in this way. So they funded and they armed the local gangs that we have been working with Mexican drug cartels. That has increased violence. Many of these gangs control townships, the poorest neighborhoods in Quito and mainly Guayaquil, the second biggest city in Ecuador, which has a coast, as I said, with the Pacific Ocean, and that has increased. And no government has been able to stop that because it was overlooked. We got to a position in which this violence even touched the political establishment with the assassination of mayors and the assassination of a presidential candidate, Fernando Villavicencio, in September last year. So we're not only talking about how it affected the poor populations and townships, but also it already affected the very political establishment in Ecuador. And that's how President Noboa decided that something had to be done about this.
Yeah, which is why Ecuadorians have voted for these 9 measures. Which of those 9 do you think is the most significant?
I think the presence of the army, as your colleague Carolina Lazo explained, in Ecuador, in Quito, the army will have a presence there. Now, until now, the army would only operate with the police under a state of emergency. Now they're going to have wide powers to operate in Ecuador, very similar to what President Bukele did in El Salvador. The danger of this is that this could provoke some abuses of human rights because the range of operations that the army has been given to goes from gang sort of violence to embezzlement, which is very difficult to understand how they are going to be able to deal with that. So, on the other hand, in Guayaquil, there have been mixed feelings in relation to the presence of the army. It is true that crime has gone down because of that particular presence, but at the same time, there have been some abuses in terms of younger people being arrested for no reason, and some of them have been killed. So the mixed feeling is that they want the army to stay. Many people in the townships want the army to stay, but at the same time, they want some control over the way they operate. And the key issue here is the presence of the army. In Latin America, it's very controversial because only military governments used to use the army in the streets of Quito, Guayaquil, or Lima, or Bogota. Now the army is going to have a very, very heavy presence, and that creates some kind of worry among some human rights groups. But at the same time, the violence has gone down, and we don't know whether the army is going to have more powers than the police because they're going to patrol the streets of Ecuador together. And then they will not need a special mandate from a judge or a state of emergency to do that. It's going to be a wide range of powers for them to operate, and that could be controversial.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how those measures play out. Really good to get your thoughts, Javier. Thank you. Javier Farje there, a Latin American analyst joining us from London. We'll keep an eye on what's going on in Ecuador here on TRT World.